Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new card game. This is Warpforge Warhammer 40k. We're starting off with a mulligan, and I'm going to mulligan everything apart from this Shotter Boy. Shotter Boy is a 3-cost card. We're looking for a 2-cost card to play on turn number 1. We start with 2 energy. We do find a 2-cost card, but unfortunately it's not a character card, it's a stratagem. We're using the starter deck as I say, and we're up against the Ultramarines. We have the Grots, which are orcs. So our opponent goes first. As you can see, they start with 2 energy. We are also going to start with 2 energy next turn. Unfortunately, don't have a character card to play down on turn 2, which is going to be ideal. So, what is good about Warpforge Warhammer 40k? Well, they are sponsoring today's video. I've played 4 hours of the closed beta, and this is me diving in with the open beta. Right off the bat, one thing I have to say I love about this game is the sound design, which is a weird place to start, I know, but I've been so impressed by the voice acting, but also just the feeling and the sound of cards when they enter the board. As you can see, pretty nice, interesting artworks. I really like the way they pop out the frame when you kind of highlight them. Also, when you zoom in on them, they get this frame break type ability. And you can see all the different moving parts here. This is the faction they're part of, their energy cost, their health points, the tags, their rarity here, and then their melee and range. And this is really important. We've done well to draw. We can place either side of our leader, by the way. And our Orc Boy comes in. Cards in this game do have summoning sickness, so you can't attack with them instantly, but we can attack with our leader. I guess we could do that. We can attack for 2 damage with our melee attack or 2 damage with our range attack. Our opponent's is also 2 and 2, so it's not going to matter. But if we attack with melee, our opponent deals damage back with their melee, and if we attack with ranged, our opponent deals damage back with their ranged ability. So the attack stat broken up into 2 different parts. Mate, the sound, man, in this game is really saucy. So our opponent plays 7th Company Bike, which has Rally, which is when it's played, deal 2 damage to an enemy. We now have 3 energy, and we can play our Shotter Boy, which you held on to. This is one of my favorite cards, probably my favorite card from the closed beta, in fact. Whenever we do a melee attack, as the mob keyword, we deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So, we're looking at the 7th Company Bike here. It has 2 attack on melee, 3 attack on range, 2 attack on 2 health. So if we were to range attack this, we would take 3 damage back. So we're of course going to melee attack it, particularly then because our Shotter Boy is then going to deal 1 random damage to the only card left on our opponent's side of the board, which is their leader. So leaders also have a talent. Our talent in this case is we draw a troop from our deck and give it 1 melee attack. So it's a card draw tool, but it costs 2 to use. This is a starter leader, so I think it's fair to assume that it's not one of the strongest leaders, right? In fact, probably one of the weakest ones. Each faction has a variety of different leaders, which you can unlock through opening packs in the in-game shop and through daily progression. The game is free to play, so there are microtransactions, of course. Alright, we're in a bit of an awkward spot here because we have Arda's Nails and we have give Camouflage, which can't be targeted by enemy stratagems to attack, but it just doesn't do much for us, does it? So I think this is a perfect opportunity to use our leader ability's talent, the red. What? Almost got that nailed. Unfortunately, we drew a 3-cost card, which we're not able to play. We don't have any troops, so I guess we just use. We could give health. I think units still includes our leader. We could give our leader some health, or we could deal 3 damage. I think let's heal our leader up. And then we'll just attack. Of course, attacking their leader, not really doing that much at this point in the game. We're just trading evenly. But seeing as we're kind of in the ascendancy, I suppose it does make a decent bit of sense to come through. So, opponent plays another card. Of course, they have Summoning Sickness. It has Codex. And this is a keyword which a lot of the Ultramarines focus on. Codex does something when you use up all your energy. So, they spent their 5 energy, and they then deployed this guy too, a Primaris Intercessor. Alright, sweet. So they've got a bit of flood on the board. We have 5 energy. We're going to play the Grot tank. Now it has Unstable, which when it dies, it deals 0 to 3 damage to adjacent units. So we want to make sure this is going to be like on the end of our row. So it does as little damage as possible. It has armor too. We could give Camouflage. We could do some more card draw. what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go for the attack squig.
Can't do that.
Onto their cheap boy here, because then my leader can just trade it out of the game. Then we have the option of using the grot bomb as well. Sorted. And yeah, we've already attacked with the leader. Our other card has summoning sickness or something to that effect. So that's all we can do this turn. And now it's back onto our opponent with 6 energy. Deal 2 damage and draw a card. Pretty powerful tool. Ah, and this card is an engine, right? I didn't realize it's happening multiple times here. So the fact we weren't able to remove this is pretty heartbreaking. We're at 6 energy. Blast 2. When attacking, deal X damage to units adjacent to their target. Okay. Well, if we go melee attack here, because of our armor... Oh, we must attack the Vanguard. Of course we must. We can't do that. The voice acting in this game really is superb. So, I mean, we're just going to play our 6 cost geezer. We have to decide, because this is going to die, do we want our leader to take the hit, or probably our big Chungus card, right? We're going to have to accept the hit with that. Does 2 damage to it, unfortunately. And then we next have the decision is, do we do this with our leader? And I think, regrettably, we do. And the fact that they've still got this engine down on the board, really scary. So they were able to protect their engine with Vanguard. Of course, we're just using the starter deck out of the box, and our opponent might have had an opportunity to have improved their deck. I don't know if they have, but I'm already making excuses for why we're losing, but I don't think it's necessarily all over. For example, the Death Dread is going to be dealing 1 to 3 damage to a random enemy every time we do a melee attack. So if we can get this Death Dread down and a bunch of swarm cards and attack all at the same time with those, we could apply a lot of pressure. But again, the Primaris Impulsor ticks along because of the codec ability, and it looks like we are in a world of trouble. Let's be honest. Okay, the blast cleaned up. I think we are pretty much just forced to play this geezer. And unfortunately, all of my opponent's cards have more than 2 health. So I'm going to do nothing. We could attack their leader with our leader. But because they're now kind of in the ascendancy, it seems like health on our leader is going to be more important than the health that they have on their leader. But I think this game, ladies and gentlemen, is all over. From we got wrecked. Crushed. Put us out of our misery. So what went wrong? I think the main thing was not killing the engine. And just overall, a lot of the cards that we played were pretty low impact. Particularly the cards we're stuck with in our hand, right? They just haven't performed how I might want them to. Well, we can almost get through that. Take 0 damage on our leader at least. We're just playing this one out because we know it's over. Let's just sacrifice our leader. See you later, alligator. So that's our first game of Warpforge Warhammer 40k. We got wrecked, but hopefully you guys can see a lot of the interesting mechanics, the things I like about the game, particularly the sound design. I'm really, really, really keen on. Let's take a look at what the menus look like in this game, how the microtransactions are working, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, on the main menu here, we can see there's 3 main game modes. There's a practice mode, which is really, really recommended to play with. This is a fantastic introduction to the game with tutorials. You get to play against each of the different factions and each of the different leaders to really get an understanding of the different mechanics of each faction, because each faction has some very different defining mechanics. For example, there's one faction, the Soltec Dynasty, which when some of your characters die, they drop soul stones, which can work as a different source of mana or energy. If we look at the shop here, you can see that you can buy booster packs. Each booster pack contains 5 cards for a specific faction, with at least one of the cards guaranteed to be rare or better. There's also an all armies booster pack, which can contain, you guessed it, cards from all armies. There's also a daily shop which refreshes every 24 hours, which gives you access to buying specific cards with a different kind of crystal resource to search for that specific card rather than just relying on that pack RNG. The rewards part of the game is pretty extensive. You can see you get daily login bonuses where you get 100 crystals, which can then be used to purchase cards, as we just discussed. You also get daily missions, which are giving you campaign points. These campaign points then can be put into the campaign to, which is just here, to progress along. Each faction has a different campaign, and you can choose your rewards as you go. For example, we could pick the crystals. So we could pick 400 crystals to craft cards. We could pick a booster pack, or we could pick a specific rare wild card. Now, each booster pack contains at least one rare card, so I'm gonna take the booster pack for the Goth army. Let's see what we get in our first booster pack, and then if it's gonna improve our deck. We get a little look at the pack opening animation. We click each card. We get Stomper, which is a very expensive card. We get a Iron Gob, which is a stratagem. Your Warlord gains concussive until your next turn and heals 5. We get a rare card, so maybe this is the only rare card we get, but maybe we get more than one rare card. We get a Boomdaka Snazwagon, and finally a Grot. So we just got the one rare card in this one, but seeing as the other reward was just a rare wild card, we basically got 4 other cards in the mix as well, so it seems like the better option to go for. Finally, there is the Forge, which is a way of getting more rewards. You can upgrade cards in your collection to progress through the Forge track for each army and earn great rewards. So there's 6 of these, 1 for each army or each faction, and you can get up to level 50. And if you get to level 50, you're going to be getting quite a lot of cool rewards, such as a legendary wildcard. But how do you do that? Great question. How on earth do you do this? Well, if we go over to our collection on cards, we can see here that we can... So as you get access to more cards, you're going to be able to upgrade cards. And while that doesn't improve their stats, this is just essentially going to allow us to progress on the Forge reward path. I'm not 100% sure how this works, but essentially, as you earn duplicate versions of cards from packs and stuff like that, rather than them just being wasted, you can use those duplicates to upgrade them, which is then going to progress you along this challenge path, giving you more rewards. Warpforge also has a draft mode, which you can do once per day for free. Select your Warlord, build your deck from the draft options available, and face other players with it. Try to win as many battles as possible. If you're defeated 3 times, your run will end. So you can do it once per day for free, and then you can also pay to do it and seemingly get better rewards when you pay to do it. So it works as you would expect. You pick a Warlord, in other words, a hero. We're not actually going to play through this, just wanted to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. And then you get 3 different packages, which you then build a whole deck with, as you would expect. And then once you've done these 10 selections, you're going to have a 30 card deck with your leader, which is exactly the same size as a traditional deck. And then you're good to go. You're going to be able to play a game with it, which we're not going to do. And as you can see, you can get up to 12 victories, it seems, and 3 defeats to minimize. There's also a resign button. So if we, for example, just resign now, you can see we've got 0 victories, but we still get some kind of very small reward. We get 1 card and a little bit of crystals. And then as you can see, then once you finish that run, you then have 24 hours from the end of your run, or the start of your run, perhaps. So I guess we started in the same minute. But yeah, 24 hours until the next run you can do for free. Of course, we're going to want to get rid of the expensive cards. I think we're going to keep the Grot. We can play 2 Grots on turn 1, and the Shotter Boy I also like a lot as well. So when we play the Grot, because it has Tide 2, it's going to add more into our hand. And we're in a mirror. We're going second. I would wager going second is probably a slight disadvantage in this game. If you look at our opponent, they do start with 4 cards and they've drawn 1 at the start of the turn. So there's no like lesser card draw, for example. Having said that, was this just because of their leader though? When it's my turn, for example, my leader is going to come through. So it does actually look like the player going second draws an extra card. This is like quite a typical way to balance coin flips in games like this. Seasonal Corner has the same mechanic, in fact. So at the start of turn 1, you both start with 4 cards in hand. the player going first doesn't draw a card for the first turn, basically. And then I'm going to have an extra card, but at the disadvantage of going second. So we're going to play a Grot. We're going to play another Grot. We'll attack their leader. So when Tide comes through, the other Grots that you get are inferior. And that means that they are going to disappear from your hand at the end of the next turn. The next plan is to get the Shotter Boy down as soon as possible. But our opponent's also got a bunch of Grots in as well. You can see there is like a history here. So we can see that they played... What did they play? Wait for it. They play Gretchen Mob, which is a 3-cost card, which deploys 3 Grots and gives them Vanguard. That's why they all have the Bodyguard Vanguard ability. We are going to go for our Shotter Boy.
He's dead, Killy.
And unfortunately, the Shotter Boy hit the leader. We were hoping it would hit one of the other ones, because then we'd have a guaranteed kill. The Shotter Boy, of course, dealing random damage whenever we do a melee attack. I think we started off pretty well here, though. The opening hand just looking a lot better. The extra Grot actually making a big impact on the deck. So it's really nice to see that these packs can have a big impact on the starter deck very, very quickly. Also, in my experience, like the 10-cost cards, for example, are probably going to be a little bit too expensive to be particularly relevant in a deck like this. But my experience is not exactly the most. It's like 4 hours of gameplay time I've had so far. Here comes the Grot Bomb, and it hits the Shotter Boy. Unfortunately, he's out of there. And in comes the Hornhelm's Boy, who has tied 2, but they're not able to play any of the other ones. So we have 4 energy. We could play a bunch of Grot Boys. Well, we're certainly going to do that. Get rid of their Grot. We could do 2 Grots and the Red Gua. We could go for this guy and this guy. I'm going to go for this, you know. And play 2 Grots. So I was actually hoping to draw like a 2-cost card, for example. With the card draw tool, and then hold these Grots for a bit later, because you can play 3 of them in one turn. 3 in one turn, and then getting some kind of like mob ability down on the board could have been really spicy. I didn't want to play this because of Tide 2. We could play it later on when we've got like 6 energy. You could play 2 of these, for example. This card also just doesn't seem that good with Unstable. It's going to be dealing damage to our own cards when it dies, and it's not exactly got that many stats. It possibly could have been one of the cards we removed from the deck, honestly. Like the Unstable keyword is really bad. In this case, anyway. So they deal 1 damage to our Grot and stun it, which seems like a little bit of a waste of time, to be completely honest. But that's 5 damage we've just taken to our leader. 5 energy now. We're going to go for Rally, which is when we play it. It's going to deal 3 damage to a... Let's just get rid of it with a Grot first. This one's stunned. We can't attack with it, but this one is not. Doesn't matter what we attack with. And then let's go for this big Chungus, who is going to deal 3 damage to their leader. Both my cards here are stunned, so I can't do anything else. That's over to Ika Zeppo again. Looks like we might have got our victory. There's also emotes in this game, by the way. Okay. They played Stormboy Strike, which is a 6-cost card. Deploy 1 Stormboy for each enemy unit. And they are flying, which means they cannot be targeted with melee attacks by non-flying units. Fortunately, their range is really, really bad, so it's actually not a big problem. Often, cards with flying have really good defense, but these ones don't, which is good news for us. Deploy 1 Stormboy for each enemy unit. Let's go. Let's Spider-Man point them and do exactly what they did. Sheesh. 6 damage to the leader seems absolutely worth it. And we'll finish one of these off with our leader. All our Storm Boys have Summoning Sickness. So that will be the end of our turn here. Does actually look like the starter decks are a little bit different to the ones that there were in the closed beta. That's why a few of these cards I've never seen before. But oh god, get him lads. They've just juiced up all these cards. 5 attack on all of these dudes. Oh my god, guys. And I thought we were winning. Bro. And here I was thinking we were winning. We lose the mirror. And I think based off that, it does seem like going first is a pretty big advantage. I'm going to hold on to the Grot Bot. I'm actually going to replace everything just to try and find some early game cards. I think that's the most important thing that we have this early game curve here. We're up against the Sakta Dynasty. Their ability is choose a card from your deck and move it to the top of your deck. So it's a consistency tool. But it costs 2. It only costs 1. Okay. It's a lot more reasonable. Let's get down our Truck Boy. We don't have a vehicle, so it doesn't gain Vanguard. And let's just go for the attack still. Let's have it. Why not? So they use their leader ability, which just costs 1 energy. It's unlikely they have anything else to play for 1 energy, I would wager. Ah, I eat my words. Look at that. They have a 1 damage ping for 1 energy, or 2 damage ping, in fact, I think it was. Now, the only thing we can do here is play our leader. And we'll just make the trade. As we don't know the matchups, I don't really know if we're supposed to do that. It really would just depend on the matchup, right? If we're a deck which wants to win quickly, we would want to do an attack like this. Whereas if we're a slower deck which wants to win later on in the game with more control-heavy cards, for example, it's not a trade we want to make at this point in the game. One of the troop dies gain range attack. Mob 1 gain 1 melee attack. I think I'm going to go for the Death Gun Looter first, yeah? And just target the leader. This is pretty scary looking with its 4 health. It's got Remnant, Artiface. It's a lot. So when this unit dies, it leaves behind a Remnant. Remnants are destroyed at the end of your turn. Remnants can be resurrected, basically. And Artiface does something when playing a stratagem. Reanimate a friendly Remnant. So the faction we're playing against is focused on reanimation, which is pretty damn cool. Now, I do quite like the look of the Scarboy Knob because I'm doing 2 attacks this turn. It's like an engine. I'm not spending all my energy that efficiently. Whereas if we were to go for 3 cost and a 2 cost. But this guy's also boosted and the copy we're going to be getting is boosted. So I want to hold this till turn 6 anyway. We could go for the Schnazwagon. It has flank, so it can attack this turn.
Where's the fight?
And we're going to go for a ranged attack onto their Vanguard, which is a really nice trade. But it's got a Remnant left behind, so let's polish the other Remnant off with a ranged. Because this is like, every time they play a spell card, this would be reanimating, right? And I'm hoping we've restricted the ways they can reanimate their cards here. So you can see each faction having a different kind of ability is really, really fascinating. So they do manage to reanimate. This will disappear at the end of their turn if they're unable to reanimate this one as well. Deal 1 damage and it costs nothing. And look at that, because they play a special card. Wow, that seems pretty good compared to what I'm playing, I have to say. Struggling to compete at the minute. Well, we'll go for the range on the Vanguard. We know we need to kill that at some point. May as well get it over and done with. So kill this geezer. And then we're going to play the Tide Boys, I think. Could have gone for the Storm Boy Strike, actually, perhaps. But we'll get a better chance to do that, I think, next turn anyway. I think we'll get away with it. And then we're really looking for like that kind of ability which adds attack to our cards, and we just try and clean out their leader. It's going to be the key to success. So also don't forget that this game will be coming out on mobile 2nd of November time. There's going to be a account linked, like your PC account can be linked to your mobile as well. 6 factions, of course, and there will be more factions coming into the game. And you do get a starter deck from each faction as well, which is really nice. It's a lot of troops they have, so it's got to be time for our Storm Boys strike, innit? If we can even hold on that long, that is. And of course our cards, even though they've got a big attack stat, it's not actually that important if our opponent's just removing them. So we're going to go for the Storm Boy strike. We get a lot of Storm Boys in play here. Hello. Unfortunately, they're unable to attack just yet. We can remove their Vanguard. And I suppose we should also...
Can't do that.
Oh, we can't. It's flying. Well, move this way. And we're going to hope that that's enough for us to survive. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 23 damage on the board, including our leader, that is, though. Which is enough for a lethal leader removal. But of course that just means that they can make some good trades. But 3 health is quite a lot. 3 health is not that easy to remove. They can do it with their ranged boy here. They can remove one of ours. Some reanimation coming into the mix. The Vanguard is good for them because it's going to prevent me just being able to attack their leader straight away, of course. Right, here we go. Some annoyingly efficient trades in favor of our opponent. And unfortunately, we don't have a card which is like boosting up the attack here of our other cards. We have to get through the Vanguards first too, which is just easier said than done.
Chomper, do your thing. Yes.
We're holding on for dear life, I fear. There's also a pre-sale, which is going to be... there's going to be a link in the description for that as well. For the mobile version of the game. I mean, it certainly feels like it's over, doesn't it? It's all ogre now. 11 health left on the leader. You can see those flashing bits below. I believe that means they're still... Okay. Or not. Just going to eat my words. We're one off being able to play the big lad.
Take me boomiest rocket just for you. Who wants to taste me chopper first?
I mean, we just know it's over, so... GG. Alright guys, so that is Warpforge 40k. Thank you very much for the sponsored video. Thanks for supporting the channel and watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know how you find the game. I'm really interested in hearing how everyone enjoys it. I think it's a really fun game. I like a lot of the mechanics, particularly the sound design, like I say. It really, really appeals to me. And as I've someone that's got family members that really enjoy the 40k universe, it's definitely something I'm going to be recommending to them. Thanks so much, guys. Hope to see you very soon. And take good care of yourselves. Goodbye. A roper, ladies and gentlemen.